recording. Okay, share your screen. Ayun. So, nagsistart na ng record. Sige. Sige. Wait lang ha. Recent. Tayo sa slide natin. Recent slide. Okay. Ba dito? Okay, ayun. Sige. Alright. So, we're done with the theory of Alport. I hope I'm audible to each and every one of you. Now, I'll be discussing the theory of Cattell. No? Kay Cattell tayo. Alright. So, for Cattell, Cattell's theory, ay, we're done na rin para with Cattell, no? Tapos na rin tayo kay Cattell. Tama ba? Tapos na rin tayo kay Cattell? Done na ba tayo kay Cattell? Tama ba?
Yes po, sir. Done na po.
Thank you for that confirmation. So, let's focus now on the theory of Cattell. Eysenck na tayo, no? Now, let's go to the theory of Eysenck. A biologically based theory by Hans Eysenck. So, for him, he focused more into the arousal theory. Like, it's more of understanding the cortical arousal and yung sensory threshold ng person. So, he explained behavioral differences on the basis of yung cortical processes that hinder nervous system arousal. So, may strong psychometric properties plus biological component yung theory ni Eysenck, no? So, for him, he also emphasized yung structure ng personality traits that can be simplified or deduced into 3 only. So, yun nga, like what I've said, cortical arousal, ito po yung how are we aroused sa stimuli, no, sa environment natin. So, for extroverts, they have lower innate arousal or cortical arousal. That's why they are more responsive towards stimulation. Mas gusto nila ng stimuli sa environment nila. Then, for introverts naman, they have higher level of innate levels of arousal that are more sensitive to stimulation. So, for introverts, ang nangyayari sa kanila, since mataas na yung cortical arousal nila, they're easily aroused in the stimuli. That's why, they do not want for more stimuli na pwede nilang makuha sa environment nila. Sa sensory threshold naman, extroverts have mas mataas yung kanilang sensory threshold. Think of it like a social battery nila, no, of how much stimuli that they could cater. But for introverts, medyo maliit yung sensory threshold nila or yung social battery nila. That's why hindi sila masyadong gustong makipag-interact or stimulate yung kanilang senses nila. So, yun yung difference nila. So, in other words, biological talaga yung pagkaka-define ni Eysenck sa personality ng person. Isang factor lang din ito. Naintindihan nyo ba yun? No? Extrovert, mataas yung cortical arousal, mababa ang sensory threshold. I'm sorry. Extroverts, mababa ang kanilang cortical arousal, mataas ang sensory threshold. For introverts naman is mataas ang cortical arousal, mababa ang sensory threshold. No, yun yung difference nila din, no? So, Alport and Cattell focus on traits. Talagang matalino naman talaga si Hans Eysenck na talagang sabi niya talaga na kulang, no, or kulang pa yung 16PF, yung personality factors na minention ni Cattell. So, ang ginawa niya, gumawa siya ng first degree or yung super factors or super traits. So, syempre, nasa hierarchy yun or taxonomy. Diniduce pa niya, no? Kasi si Cattell, nag-induce siya, nag-explore pa siya. Pero si Eysenck, mas diniduce niya. Okay. So, may lower level L elements daw underlying those pen, yung super factors na yun. Later, I'll be sharing that one to you. So, again, we have the bipolar dimensions, pen model. P stands for psychoticism, E stands for extroversion, and N stands for neuroticism. Bipolar tendency siya kasi may opposite pole din siya, no? Sa P, ang opposite pole niya is super ego function. 'Di ba? Pag sinabi natin psychoticism, ano bang ibig sabihin niyan? Ito naman yung indicates, it could not necessarily indicate psychopathology, but a high score in this factor may indicate a person that is cold, non-conforming, hostile, suspicious, and aggressive. So, they have tendencies then to become psychotic, no? Pero not necessarily ganun agad-agad, no? Hindi naman necessarily kapag meron kang ganito, you have psychopathology. So, a person with low score of P, who have super ego function, tends to be more altruistic, caring, cooperative, and conventional. So, nandun sila sa opposite side of the pole. Okay? So, sa E naman, extroversion, introversion, hindi ko na masyado to i-explain, pero na-explain naman to sa theory ni Young, di ba? Extrovert are sociable, impulsive, and they enjoy exciting experiences, and they like meeting new people. While on the other side of the pole, they could become more of reserved. They can become more into themselves. They are in tune of their inner world. So, different din yung behaviors din, no? Ito naman, itong N, neuroticism and emotional stability. I think itong neuroticism na introduced to sa theory ni Horney, di ba? When neurotics have high level of anxiety and tend to overreact emotionally, but on the other side of the pole, emotional stability can become a person who is stable and able to control their feelings and do not necessarily agad-agad makakaranas ng anxiety or other mental health symptoms. So, gusto ko din sabihin na hindi rin okay or hindi rin naman sobrang kumbaga advantage kung sumobra ka talaga ng super ego function. Kasi kapag sumobra naman ito masyado, maaaring maging wala ka ng sense of identity kapag sobra yung super ego function mo. You tend to become more, pwede kang maabuso, pwede rin mawalan ka ng identity or hindi mo na naaalagaan yung sarili mo at some point. And same also with the introversion, hindi rin naman necessarily kapag sumobra ka sa other side of the pool, okay din. I mean, maganda, hindi siya okay, no? At some point, 'di ba sinasabi ko na may traits talaga tayo na introversion at saka extroversion. Meron lang talagang isa na lalamang talaga sa dalawang 'yon. Yung emotional stability naman, masasabi kong kapag sumobra ka ng bonggang-bongga dito, hindi rin siya maganda kasi kumbaga hindi mo na able ma-process yung emotions mo, hindi ka na makapag-express ng emotions mo, kaya paminsan nagkakaroon ng maladaptive or maladjustments yung isang tao kasi nagiging complex, then later nagiging trauma na yon. Hindi ka na makapag-express or makapag-empathize sa ibang tao na may mga pinagdadaanan. So, hindi rin siya maganda na sumobra ka din sa other side of the pole. Okay? So, move forward tayo dito sa differences ng Eysenck at ni Cattell, no? Since si Eysenck kasi talaga deductive yung method niya, while si Cattell inductive. Na-explain ko na yan sa inyo, di ba? Gumamit ng self-report questionnaire si Eysenck gaya ng Eysenck Personality Inventory, while si Cattell naman yung life data, questionnaire data, and test data ginamit niya. Si Eysenck, meron siyang bipolar factors, the PEN model, and si Cattell naman may traits, di ba? Si Eysenck, 3 personality factors lang, while kay Cattell, 16 personality factors. And kay Eysenck naman, types or super factors, while si Cattell naman, large number of traits yung ginamit niya. Okay. So, Cattell used an inductive method specific to general, while Eysenck used a deductive method general to specific, no? Sana maalala nyo palagi ito, ha? So, ayun, dumako tayo dito sa criteria for identifying a factor of Eysenck. So, gumamit si Eysenck ng psychometric evidence. The factor must be reliable and replicable. Gumamit din siya ng heritability according for him. Namamana natin yung traits natin. So, kapag Nakikita niyo yung sarili ninyo, may mga traits ka ba na sa tingin mo present sa magulang mo? Another is make sense from a theoretical view, beginning with a theory and then gathering data, then logically consistent with that theory. And number 4 is it possesses social relevance. So it means that it can be applied to real life. It's not just a theory, but ano siya, no? Hindi lang siya mathematically. Okay, it does not necessarily na mathematically kailangan ganito or ganyan. So again, social relevance, no? Pwedeng magamit in real life. So, ayun, no? Personality factors or personality by Eysenck. He uses typology. It is by classifying behavior through the use of continuous clusters of correlated traits. So, gumamit siya ng mga iba't ibang traits at kinorelate niya para makahanap siya ng relationship. Something like this one, class, no? So, a super trait is like this. Underlying a super factor is we have the traits. 1, 2, 3. Then, underlying pa ng mga traits na yun, we have habitual responses. Bawat trait na yun. And underlying those habitual responses, we have those specific responses pa. So, an example could be like this. Extroversion. Under extroversion, we have sociability and we have impulsivity, no? Under sociability, we have entertaining strangers. Ito na yung mga habitual actions. And under that pa is we have the specific actions that the person can do or specific responses. So, you can see this and compare it like a taxonomy. Hierarchy siya, diba? So, ito lang ay isang example. Okay? So, yun. Take note also of this. Example lang yun, no? Sa psychoticism. So, you could see the hierarchy of how he had defined, no? Or how does he try to make for the super factors. And according to him, yung mga super factors na yan, yun yung first degree. Sabi niya, yung kay Cattell, second degree lang yan kasi marami yan, no? So, talagang nilesen niya talaga yung number of factors. Okay, do you have questions so far? Okay, so now let's go to the measuring of personality. He uses Maudsley at first, no, personality inventory or MPI. He assessed only E and N and yielded some correlation between these two factors. He also used Eysenck personality inventory and contains a lie scale to detect faking, but more importantly, it measures extroversion and neuroticism independently with a near zero correlation between E and N. And for Eysenck's personality questionnaire, it included a psychoticism scale. It has both an adult and a junior version, no? And yung final na talaga na version is Eysenck's personality questionnaire or the EPQ. It was published due to subsequent criticism of the P scale on EPQ. Yon. So, now let's go to the dimensions of personality. Ayun, na-mention ko na to sa inyo, diba? Okay. Okay. I will be discussing the theory of a five-factor theory by Crae and Costa. Since ito naman din yung sumunod kay Eysenck, actually, or somehow related kay Eysenck. So, five-factor model by Crae and Costa, medyo familiar ako dito kasi ginamit ko siya sa masteral ko. My thesis in masteral, yung theoretical framework ko talaga is the five-factor model by Crae and Costa. So, medyo kapako tong theory nito. Sa kanya yung popular na Big Five, the ocean model, if nagbasa na kayo ng parts na yun, no? According to them, universal daw yung traits na Big Five, no? And yung theory niya talaga gumawa or nagkaroon ng test, no? Naging popular yung personality test na NeoPi or NeoFFI na ginagamit ko rin sa aking clinical practice. Yun. Crae and Costa, they popularized the Big Five personality. Ito yung limang yan, no? Extraversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and openness to experience. And meron din siyang bipolar tendency din, no? Pero hindi na masyado na focused yon, no? So researchers think of the five factors as super traits, no? Research has shown stability of the categories. However, Not all researchers agreed on on these categories. Like other trait theories, the model is a description of behavior, not an explanation. So in describing broad categories, these approaches lose some ability to predict behavior. In describing broad categories, these approaches lose some ability to predict behavior. Like what I mentioned, parang ang criticism sa kanya is hindi na yung prediction of behavior, but more of describing lang the behavior. But again, naging popular naman siya at kumita rin sila ng pera talaga dito because of the test that they had created. Yung neopy na nagre-revise from time to time. Okay? So, let me just show to you ito, no, yung mga, mga basic tendencies muna before ako dumako sa Big Five. So, the basic tendencies daw are universal raw material of personality capacities and dispositions are generally inherited rather than observed, similar kay Eysenck. It can also be imprinted by early experience or be modified by disease, according sa theory nila, no? Dalawang tao ha, Robert Crae and Paul Costa yan, no? Hindi sila isang tao lang. It also defines an individual's potential and direction. So, sinabi ko sa inyo, diba, na universal siya. Regardless of culture, regardless kung asan ka galing, no, ginagamit siya. Characteristic adaptation. So, it's an acquired personality structure that developed as people adapt to their environment. So, it can be influenced by external influences. Kumbaga, may mga personality structure yung isang person that allows them to react in a certain way, how they adapt to the environment. So, let's say, Miara can adapt to this environment which can be different from, let's say, from another classmate of her, no? So, iba sila. Though they can do the certain way, but iba yung signature of how they do it, how they work with a challenge, no? So again, it can be influenced by external influences, what happened to their environment, and through those characteristic adaptations, nagkakaroon na sila ng self-concept nila. Important siya because the way they adapt, they could evaluate themselves from time to time, and with that, it gives them a sense of identity of who they are as a person. So that is self-concept. Okay, from characteristic adaptation. Okay. What else do we have here? Did they mention about the diathesis stress model? Okay. Mention ko lang yun ha. I guess it was in the Eysenck's theory. Diathesis stress model, I want to explain that. Diathesis is something that you're vulnerable or inborn with, or something na parang meron na sa brain mo, sa visceral part of your brain, or part also of your, genetically, it was part of you. Whenever a person experiences a mental health problem, diba, may stressor required for that. People who have diathesis, already, konting stressor lang, madali na silang makaranas ng anxiety, depression, or other mental health illnesses. But a person who doesn't have that diathesis, or low yung diathesis nila, yung vulnerability nila, no? Kasi yung diathesis kasi talaga, ito na yung nature mo talaga parang nandun na yung nature mo na talaga, kumbaga part of your biological, no, tendencies. So kung maliit yung diathesis nila, sobrang taas na amount ng stressors lang pa ang kailangan before that person will experience a mental health problem or disorder. So gets niyo yung logic nun? Kaya we could say na yung mga iba't ibang tao, iba-iba sila the way they could react into different stressors, or yung iba kasi resilient talaga kasi nga wala silang diathesis. Yung iba naman talaga madali silang maging vulnerable because they have already a diathesis, or they are predisposed to experience that one. So yeah, that is I guess that is the diathesis stress model na discuss ata to sa theory ni Eysenck kasi biological no? Okay, so punta tayo dito sa Big Five, no? Gusto kong gamitin tong slide na to para mas madali. Openness, number 1. Ocean, no? Openness. Kapag mataas yung level mo dito, you could be extremely creative, be open to new things. You could think about abstract concepts, and you can be extremely focused on handling new challenges, no, for the openness. For if ever man low level siya, they could be you might not like changes, no, ayaw mo ng mga pagbabago, you're not interested in new things and doesn't welcome new ideas, you're not that imaginative, no. Openness din, kumbaga creative ka and open ka sa mga pagbabago. Okay. Another universal trait din daw is the conscientiousness. Ito yung ginamit ko sa thesis ko. No? When you're conscientious, important to sa college life, no? You're hardworking, you're determined, you are dependable, you're organized, no? And kapag low level naman, more likely you can be careless, disorganized, you don't like structure, you're timid, you're lazy. Yeah, ganon, no? Next is extroversion. When mataas naman yung level mo of extroversion, you are more of outgoing, you like and seek for adventures, you like to interact and socialize and mingle with others, and kapag low level naman, you tend to become more introverted, like being reserved, withdrawn, quiet, etc. Okay. Okay, next naman is we have agreeableness, no? Sa agreeableness naman, they tend to become cooperative, trustworthy, and good-natured. May tendency sila to become helpful, trusting, and empathetic. No? And kapag mataas yun, no? Kapag low score naman, they have tendencies to become critical, uncooperative, and suspicious. And for the N, neuroticism, a tendency towards unstable emotions, they have tendencies to become anxious, unhappy, prone to negative emotions, and kapag low score naman, they can be calm, even-tempered, and secured. No, kapag mababa yung neuroticism nila. Okay? So again, parang bipolar tendencies lang din sila, no? So in interpreting Neopy, malalaman mo kung high, average, or low ba yung mga scores nila, no? At mas maganda kasi mas makikita mo yung tendencies mo rin, no? To be like this or like that, no? So I hope you've learned something from that one. Do you have questions so far? Okay, do you have questions so far? Okay. So, ayun, no? So, na-discuss ko na rin yung theory ni Eysenck at saka ni Crae and Costa, no? So, sana marirecord to. Marirecord ko sana ito, no? Sige, pasadahan ko na lang din kay Henry Murray, no? Para at least matapos tayo sa lesson natin, no? Personology by Henry Murray, since 11-12 pa naman, no? So, personology is an approach to personality that includes conscious and unconscious forces, the influence of the past, present, and the future, and the impact of physiological and sociological factors. So, personology, more likely, there's a lot of considerations, no? Kumbaga, combine siya nila Adler, Freud, Jung. According also to him, may pagka-biological siya kasi personality daw is rooted in the brain. You don't have personality kung wala kang brain. Ito yung mga principles ng personology ni Henry Murray. Personality is rooted in the brain, that everything on which personality depend exists in the brain, including feeling, states, conscious and unconscious memories, beliefs, attitudes, fears, and values. No? So, lahat daw yon nasa utak ng tao. Number 2, idea of tension reduction. So, it's the process of acting to reduce tension, which is satisfying. The ideal state of the human nature involves always having a certain level of tension to reduce, no? Number 3, an individual's personality continues to develop over time and is constructed of all events that occur during the course of that person's life. So, nag-evolve yung personality ng tao over time through the experiences he has. And number 4, personality changes and progresses. It's not really fixed and static. So, yung personality niyo daw, magbabago yan eventually as you grow, as you mature and develop. Number 5, emphasizes the uniqueness of each person while recognizing similarities among all people. So, lahat tayo magkakaiba, though there are similarities among each one of us. Now, let's go to the personology by Henry Murray. Human lives and factors influence the course of their life. So, to study individuals, it is useful to separate the totality into identifiable and manageable units daw. Next is we have here, parang ang ginawa niya is na-compare niya sa parang computer program yung utak ng tao. No? So, aside from that, he has a theory of needs and presses. Okay, para mas madali sa inyo. Ang needs, this is a construct representing a force in the brain that organizes our perceptions, understanding, and behavior. And in such a way, it will help us to change an unsatisfying situation and increase our satisfaction. So, may mga psychogenic needs na pinauso si Henry Murray. This is more likely to function mostly in the unconscious level, and it plays a major role in personality formation. We have psychogenic needs daw, no? So, marami yun actually eh. This one, later, i-discuss natin yan, no? Be familiar lang, class, no? Next, we have press. A press is to characterize clearly the behavior that forces from objects or persons within the environment that help or hinder people in fulfilling goals. Okay? A press is a force within the environment, no, that keeps you from moving, or it could hinder you as well from moving forward. There are two types of presses, alpha and beta press. Alpha press, the actual properties or attributes in the environment, and beta press are the individual subjective perception of the environment. So, dalawang klase yan. Okay. We have now the assessment technique he used. He called this as the thematic apperception test. It is a projective test that revealed underlying motives, concerns, and the way they see the world. So, TAT yung tawag doon, no? The thematic apperception test is useful in revealing a patient's dominant motivations, emotions, and core personality. So, may pictures pinapakita si, so na-develop siya din, no? With Christiana Morgan, no? So na-develop nila yung TAT. Projective test ito, class, na may mga pinapakitang picture, and projection din yung ginagawa ng client dito. So he or she will tell a story about those pictures and what the person he sees. So yun, no? So it could reveal unconscious desires or unconscious na mga images ng person. Mag-reveal siya ng unconscious material, no, sa buhay ng tao. So, it consists of a series of 20 cards depicting people in various interpersonal interactions that were intentionally created to be ambiguous. So, wala talaga siyang clear meaning or picture. Wala ka talagang clear objective answer nun. Kumbaga, lahat ay subjective. At may interpretation, yung TAT. Thematic Apperception Test. So, explain ko lang din ito, no, yung mga types of needs daw, no. Types of needs, punta tayo dito sa, di ba may mga psychogenic needs? So, yung mga psychogenic needs na yun, we have ambition needs, materialistic needs, power needs, status defense needs, affection needs, information needs. So, be knowledgeable lang talaga with yung mga hindi masyado familiar sa inyo, like infavoidance, no, to avoid being humiliated or embarrassed, no. Ito rin yung mga words na cognizance, no, to seek knowledge and ask questions about things in order to understand. Meron din tayong sukkerance, to have one's needs satisfied by someone or something. Where it also includes being loved, nursed, helped, forgiven, and consoled. So be familiar lang, no. I think common naman yung iba dito, no. Abasement, to surrender and submit to others, accept blame and punishment. So, again, the psychogenic needs are motivators of behavior, and it allows us to organize our perception. It allows us to also to yung makuha natin yung gusto natin, no. It's a construct that represents a force in the brain. I know it can be sound technical masyado yung theory ni Henry Murray. Kung baga marami siyang pinagkunan, wala siyang direct concept of humanity kung titignan natin siya, no. And na-define din niya yung mga iba't ibang characteristics ng needs, like prepotency, the fusion of these needs, subsidiation, and the process. Okay? Meron din siyang types of needs. Yung primary needs, ito yung parang viscerogenic, kumbaga biological or for survival, and related as arising from biological bodily processes. And the secondary needs, ito na yung psychogenic needs kanina, yung marami masyado, no? These are emotional and psychological needs like achievement and affiliation. So may pagka Maslow siya konti, and may pagka konting Eysenck, 'di ba? Pag titingnan natin, reactive needs, ito naman yung needs that involve a response to a specific object, and proactive needs are needs that arise spontaneously. Okay. So for the characteristic of needs, we have prepotency, when certain tendencies taking precedence over others. Fusion of needs, outcome of different needs is behaviorally the same, and substitution is a situation in which one need is activated to aid the satisfaction of the other need. Okay, and we have also the process, no? Okay, we have here thema, no? Thema is a combination of press, the environment, and the need that brings order to our behavior. So the thema is formed through early childhood experiences and become a powerful force in determining personality. Ayun. So we have claustral stage, oral stage, and anal stage, urethral stage, and genital stage. Somehow may pagka-Freudian din siya, no? Titingnan natin. So nagbigay din siya ng concept about the personality development during childhood stages. Ayun. So you could read more about this actually. I think na kay Weiss or kay Schultz, no? Marami ding supplementary videos din sa YouTube that you could use as your reference for the theory of Henry Murray. Ayun, no? Pasensya kasi may hinahabol din kasi akong doctor, no? So kailangan ko magpa-check up, no? May something din sa health ko ngayon. So I hope you understand that one. Medyo nasa-stress na rin. Ayun, so do you have any questions or concerns? Wala tayong klase sa Thursday kasi it's a holiday, no? So I'll be uploading this in YouTube kung mag-fail man ako sa pagre-record because of the concern natin sa dito sa none so far. Maraming salamat, no? Ayun, so mag-aral lang kayo, magbasa kayo ng book, no? Just in case lang na hindi ma-record, at least naka-record ako dito sa ating OBS, no? I-upload ko siya sa YouTube para ma-access ninyo. Try ko daw tong stop recording. Hindi ata ma-save, no? I think lahat tayo, no? Yung concern kasi talaga dito sa lahat tayo. Parang what I understand